Where you lodge, I would lodge. Your people shall be my people. Your God shall be my God. Where you die, I shall die, and there I shall be buried. The Lord do so to me, and more also, if aught but death part thee and me. So the two went until they came to Bethlehem, and it came to pass. So now let me give you a quick background into this story. Naomi asked her daughter-in-laws to go back home so they could get married again. But the daughter-in-laws still want to stay with Ruth. Why I'm going into this story this morning is I was told this story as a child. So because I was a little girl, I couldn't relate with the story of Ruth and Naomi because they were speaking about mother-in-laws and daughter-in-laws. I was just maybe 6 or 7 the first time I heard the story of Ruth and Naomi. So when I became a teenager, my mom started telling us the story of Ruth and Naomi again. And I began to wonder, why is Naomi trying to, why are they trying to force themselves on each other? If your husband dies, why can't you go your way? Anyways, now Ruth said to her daughter-in-laws, you guys should go back to your people. I will go back to my own people. In fact, I am too old. I cannot have any sons for you to marry now. Even if I have sons, you guys might be too old to, get married to these sons. Now, let me go straight to the point why I'm here this morning. I just want us to draw some lessons from this Bible story quickly. Now, you don't have to be a Christian again to pick some lessons from the Bible. One of the things that I have always noticed whenever I'm reading Bible stories about strong female characters, there is always this wisdom that we could apply to present day. So number 1, Ruth had foresight. So she followed Naomi. Number 2, Ruth had empathy. That was why she didn't let her mother-in-law just go on her own. She decided to go with her mother-in-law. Despite the mother-in-law telling her over and over, you need to go back to your people. So number 1, we said Ruth had foresight. Number 2, I think Ruth was an empath. So now number 3, Ruth is not a lazy woman. If Ruth did not go out to the field, she would have not met this rich man. So Ruth was going out to gather after reapers. She was humble. She was not feeling too big. In present day, if we were in present day now, I'm sure by the time some people's husband dies, their mother-in-law can't wait to throw them out of the house, or the people can't even wait to throw their mother-in-laws out of the house. But let us go back to this time. Let us look at how beautiful this relationship between Ruth and Naomi is. I'm sure it was beautiful with Oprah as well, but Oprah had to go back to her people after her mother-in-law kept insisting. When Ruth met Boaz, she knew she was young, yes, I'm sure she was pretty, but when Boaz spoke to her, she fell to her face in humility and she said, why has Boaz found her worthy? And this part hit me. Reading these stories as a child, all I remember was, your people shall be my people, your God shall be my God. I didn't look at these lessons. So now Ruth is humble to a fault. That was why when she met Boaz, she was so humble and she gave him the respect that's due to him. Now let's come to present day. Girls of present day, people like me, people like yourself. Do we even respect the elders at all? Let's go back to Ruth and her mother-in-law. Look at how much love Ruth had for her mother-in-law. That was why she said she was going to go with her mother-in-law till the end. Now, I'm sure the mother-in-law was also nice to Ruth. So if you're a mother-in-law out there, be nice to your daughter-in-laws. You don't know what will happen tomorrow. Then the daughter-in-laws too. Be nice to your mom-in-laws. Be nice to everybody. You don't know what will happen. So now God blessed Ruth and Ruth met Boaz. Boaz is unarguably one of the most richest men in that province. So you can imagine how Ruth, she had foresight, then she had the humility, she had empathy, and look at where God took her from and took her to. Even when she followed Ruth, she didn't say, I've been following you, I can't go out to look for food. She went out to the fields. She was gathering behind the harvesters. Again, let's look at present day. Imagine if your mother-in-law said, go to that biscuit factory, go and be gathering the rest of the biscuit so we can eat it as supper. Would you go? A lot of women these days would not go. Sometimes we feel too educated, we feel too pretty, we feel too big, and we feel too woke. We don't listen to elders anymore. Imagine if Ruth was not a very nice person. I'm not saying Ruth would have not gotten another husband, but just look at how easy it became for her. So this morning, I am just so excited to share this story, because even if you're not a Christian, guys, take your time to study the Bible. Pick one story every day and just immerse yourself and put yourself in that time period. All I can say from the story of Ruth and Naomi today and Boaz, number one, you need to be loving. If you are going into a family for marriage, don't go with ulterior motives. Don't be greedy. When the husband is not there anymore, you won't love the family anymore. Again, you need to have foresight. Again, you need to be kind. I'm sure Ruth and Naomi were kind to each other. That is why they were together too. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Ruth and Naomi.